But you'll never be royal, royal. You don't want in our blood. Maybe I'll be. That's right, the inspiration for today's podcast, kids, is a song by Lordy. Or Lord. Lordy? Lord. Don't know what it is. But the line is out, you'll never be royal. I'll never be royal. And there was a topic I wanted to discuss, and it kind of fed into that, and then I was going through a whole phase and motion of thinking about different things and thinking about why, we approach things in some ways, and I came down to two topics, and one of the topics is that I will thankfully never be royalty. I know it's a shock to everybody. I'll never be king. I'll never be a prince. I'll never be king. I'll never be, in the lineup on the red carpet. I'll never have to bow to the Queen. I probably wouldn't bow to the Queen to begin with. I'm not going to get invited to those parties. I am not going to have Sir, Knight, whatever the fuck it is in front of my name. I am not something which will be brought into a monarchistic government. That's a crazy amount of information to begin with. Or is it? I don't really know. So I'm from the UK. I'm quite used to having a monarchy. Some countries don't have a monarchy. And you question, whether it's better or worse to live under it. I'm constantly reminded of it. It's on all our money. He says, looking around for money. There's no money here, Graham. This isn't a place of finance. You have no coin. There is no... Oh, do I? I have a pound? No, I don't. No, that's an MP3 player. I thought it was money. No, definitely not. It's everywhere, it's in our news every day, almost. There's some revelation about some prince, queen, whatever situation going on. There's a wedding, there's not a wedding, there's a feud between two brothers and different sides of the same bloodline. There's a question on heirs and heiresses, there's murder, there's fucking whatever you want it is. I turn over my money and who's there? Oh, it's Queen Elizabeth. It's there. It's ingrained. I'm 30 and I've lived in a country with a monarchy for my entire life. So whenever I go to other countries and I read about their monarchies, it's interesting. It's interesting to read. I don't even believe in a monarchy. I don't think we should have a monarchy. I don't think they should be people with any kind of power within our country. That's my personal view. I don't think they should have any say in it. I don't mind the idea of them being figureheads or mascots, retaining their titles and their land ownerships and all those things, because they are from bloodlines which had it, and that is the same as inheritance for anybody else. But I don't think they should have any power. I just don't. I don't think that's something which should be allowed just based on your birthright. And also the excess of the money and all the things which go along with it. I don't understand. This is the other point. I don't understand how rich people live so wrong, and by that I don't even mean morally. I don't understand what they do with their money or how they spend their money. So there's a huge debate going on right now, which is Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister. If you are unaware of the UK system of government, he is essentially the president of the UK. He still answers to a party. He still has to bring things to vote, so he doesn't have the final be-all and end-all. He can't just write something into law. It still has to go through the usual process, but he has a lot of support because he's part of a party, blah, 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 blah. But there's a rumour that he's going to step down in spring. The reason he's potentially going to step down in spring is because he only earns £150,000 a year, right? This guy only earns £150,000 a year, and that apparently is not enough to support his newborn baby and his 5 other kids who are through illegitimate means. I was about to say illegitimate means, and that's something which is... the idea of that just makes me kind of want to throw up in my own mouth of Boris Johnson climaxing. So I apologise to anyone listening to the podcast if that is also the reaction you had. But that's a lot of money, right? To a standard citizen of any country, £150,000 a year is a lot of money. It's a lot of moolah to put on the table. And you also see when you kind of look at celebrities and they talk about the vast wealth of usually avoiding tax and paying for different things, and they'll say, oh, well, it's not that much money, or, I've been out and I've bought this and I've got this and I've spent all my money on here. And you watch these lavish shows where they're going and buying things for hundreds of thousands of pounds, and watches and shoes and dogs and cars and all these grimy little trinkets. I've got a real grumpy old man on this one, haven't I? But I just don't understand it. Even having a slightly above average wealth, I don't understand what people spend their money on, And I don't know if that's me, like it doesn't take a lot to make me happy, or the things I enjoy in life are cheap. There's a great quote from Dark Knight there with the Joker. He buys TNT and gasoline, and then he burns a pile of money, and he says, "You know what I like? I like gasoline, and I like explosions. You know what's great about them? They're cheap." It doesn't take much to entertain me, to keep me happy in my life, to keep me comfortable, as I've said in previous podcasts. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe this is my reach out song to say, hey, is it me, or are the rich people broken? Because that's how it seems now, right? That's how it seems to me as a person. If I look on the wealthy and celebrity culture, it almost seems like there is something broken when you have that amount of money. Even if you come from a less privileged background, even if you come from poverty and then you've suddenly gotten cash, it seems like there's a lot of misplaced ways to spend your money, and I don't really understand why they're doing it. I mean, so I think maybe one of the most bold examples is rappers, isn't it? That's a whole part of the hip hop gangster culture. I won't say all of the hip hop culture, because it's not. There's a lot of the hip hop culture which is against it, right? And they talk about how they bought all these fancy cars, right? All of them. They're always on about these fancy cars. They're on about what they own. They're on about these things, and they flex it, and they see that as something which is hugely, great to them, right? So they want something which is to show off that wealth, right? I don't understand how a car shows off your wealth. First off, because I don't know anything about cars to, look at a car on the street and say, hey, that's worth something. That's worth a lot of money. I don't know that. I could look at a small car and I could say, hey, that could be worth a lot of money. And sorry, I'm just looking up a piece of information I'm going to use. So yeah, I don't look at cars and know that. I just don't have that information. So then what is the point? The only people who actually know that, and know how much those cars are worth, are mechanics, people who manufacture cars, and other people who want that car, who are also rich. So you're not even showing off to the people who would be impressed by your wealth, because the people who would be impressed by your wealth are the people at my level who'd be like, oh shit, you got a lot of money. No, the people you're actually showing off to are the other rich people. Which doesn't make any sense, because they too can afford the car, so you're not anything special. It's like, oh, look at my 12 Ferraris and my Lamborghini and blah, blah, blah. So I just looked up a Lamborghini. First one which came up, Lamborghini Huracan is £164,400, right? So it's the price of a house. You're driving around in the cost of a house. And this is another thing which I don't understand, right? So that's another, you spent no money on a house, right? You could buy a terraced house in the UK for that cost. You could buy a detached house in the UK for £164,000. I know, I've been looking at houses. You could do that, but you bought a car. You could get a really nice car for less than that. A really nice car. Like a really nice car which is fast, sporty, and comfortable. But no, you wanted the fucking Lamborghini logo on it. Just put the Lamborghini logo on a house. I'd be more impressed with you owning multiple houses. That would be more impressive. And also, that's a much better investment. I can do more with a house. I can't do so much with a car, because all the car is actually going to get you is you drive from one location to another, likely get a speeding ticket, or someone nicks it, or you're going to have to pay to repair it, and all this kind of stuff. Like, all of this it just doesn't make sense what you do with your money. Even if you think of it from an aspect of point of view of how much someone makes. If someone makes £50,000 a year, right, that is an above average wage, by the way, just for reference in the point of the UK. That is above average wage, £50,000 a year. That's classed as like a management wage. So you're at a management level, and let's say you don't have a family, hypothetically, no kids, no need to do that. You got your mortgage, maybe that's something you're probably going to be paying for. Right, now, bringing it back, £50,000 a year. So let's say you own your house. You've got £50,000 a year. Obviously, cost of living is going to come out of that. So even if that lowers it down to, £30,000-40,000, you have £30,000-40,000 a year to do whatever the hell you want with. What are you going to do with it? Oh, I'm gonna save. I'm gonna give myself a nice car. Like, no, why? You haven't considered what you could actually do with that money. Even if we take altruistic action out of this, even if we ignore everything you could probably do to benefit the world with that amount of money, right? Even if you think of the charities and remove all that, even if we just go down purely selfish means and how you like to live your life and the things you could get involved with in your life and the experiences you could have. Oh yes, we went to a very nice hotel and somewhere in the Seychelles. I don't know what the fuck Seychelles are. I just know people go there when they have money. Going out to the Seychelles and it cost us £20,000 and we were there for 5 days. £20,000 and there for 5 days. You know how much it cost me to go 10 days to Canada? Like less than £1,000 when I removed the flights from it. That's, I had a great time. If I'd have had a bit more money, I'd have probably just stayed longer. I wouldn't have stayed in anywhere different locations. I'd have done more things whilst I was there. I could have had more experiences whilst I was there. Why are you spending so much money on comfort when comfort is so easily obtained? I don't understand it. I don't understand why you're pushing so much moolah into things which are so easily achievable. I want a fast car. All right, well, buy a fast car. A fast car doesn't need a high price tag. It just doesn't. That's a realistic, look at the world. Oh, I want a nice house. You can get a nice house for a reasonable price. If you have the money to spare. If you're earning that kind of money, you'd probably be able to get a mortgage for it. But if you go in stupid terms, you wouldn't even need the mortgage for it. So you got all these people who are just splashing out on pointless things like Rolexes. What is a Rolex? It's a fucking watch. It's just a watch. And you're like, oh yeah, but I want a really nice watch. Okay, well you can get a really nice watch, probably for about 50 quid. Why are you spending thousands on it? Why do you need diamonds on a watch? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, because it looks really nice. You can get the same effect for cheaper. You can. You just can. What are you even feeding? Why are rich people being rich wrong? It's insane. And then people make fun of people who have money, who go do normal things. There's a scene in Celebrities and Cars. Coffee and cars, celebrities and cars getting coffee, whichever it is, with Jerry Seinfeld, where he takes comedians and celebrities and they all go get coffee, and he leaves a nice tip. There's a point which is made. He leaves a fairly big tip, and the way he sees it is, people know who he is. He's Jerry Seinfeld, so they know he has money. So there is an expectation of it, but also it doesn't really affect him because he has the money. So he'll leave a nice tip. He'll pay it forward. He'll push that little way forward, and people made fun of that, and I was like, why? He's doing the right thing. He's going, all right, well, I've got an excessive amount of money. I can make myself feel better because I left a nice tip. I'll make them feel better because they got a good tip. The world moves on. Oh, you want really nice food, do you? Oh, well, it's actually really easy to get really nice food because you just buy the right nice food. You don't need to go and spend millions and thousands of pounds on getting chefs to supply them to you. I'm pretty sure you can hire a chef who would make you something tasty for much, 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 much less. It's exhausting watching people throw money away. Essentially, that's all they're really doing, and it's the same with the royalty. The royalty are out there, and that's the thing I've never understood. People get on about royalty and how they'd love to be royalty. Why would you want to be royalty? If you think so, in the recent news, again, for those of you who don't know, so there's been a bit of a feud in the UK royal family, but we don't even know it's a feud because the only narrative we have of it comes from the royal staff, who then report to newspapers, and newspapers twist it so to create conflict and make you feel like you care about these people. Essentially, they've just made them into reality TV stars. Nobody cares about them. I don't care about them. That's what's important to me. So you've got these two brothers, William and Harry, who are the princes. The princes of the UK. They are William is due to become king, providing his father doesn't want to be king when the current queen dies or abdicates. I could see her abdicating more than dying. That's a whole thing, right? That's how kingdoms work. That's how queendoms work. That's how royalty works. You have your line of succession, right? So Harry basically decided he didn't want to be royal anymore. He wanted to move out of the UK. He's moved to Canada with his wife. Can't remember the name of her. There's a whole thing about that as well, which I'll get into momentarily. And that caused feuds within the family, because to them it's rejection of their family, because family is royalty, blah, 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 blah. There's a responsibility, and there is responsibility placed on you when you are royalty to act and live a certain way. We've all seen the Princess Diaries. That's the way it is. Harry's obviously moved out, and then he's tried to monopolize by having products and stuff associated with royalty, because he's still part of the bigger Windsor family, which is there. Harry is one of these people who you can relate to so much. He's made so many stupid decisions in his lifetime. He dressed up in, I think it was a Hitler uniform or a Nazi uniform for a fancy dress party because he thought it would be funny. He was caught naked on a pool table with some people. I think it was in Vegas, right? These are dumb things done by a human being, a privileged human being, right? These are dumb things done by dumb people. So when he does stuff like this, you're like, yeah, you know what? I can completely relate. Because I don't give a shit about you, your family, and the wealth and all the stuff which goes with that. He knows he's not going to be king. Doesn't necessarily want to be king. Just wants to be human and wants to be left alone, but keep his wealth. Fair enough. That's a whole balance. But this whole debate has brought his wife under such heavy fire, his family, his relationship with his brother. Every other day you've got Harry and Will falling out, family in tatters. What about their dead mother? Blah, 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 blah. If you don't know, their mother was Princess Diana, which is a whole other thing. She again was hounded by the press, thrown under the bus when her and Charles, I think it's Charles, kind of collapsed, and there was all that, and then he was the king and would-be king who was then remarrying. Nobody likes Charles, a bit of a dick, and it's just mass. It's like high school, and it's your entire family, right? That's the way I can describe it. It's like your life is a reality TV show from the day you were born. You see pictures of William's kids, and they are plastered everywhere, and they are plastered in such a way which is they are the most angelic, perfect beings who have ever stepped foot on this earth, and they will succeed the king, and blah, 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 right? Give it 10 years. Give it 10, 15 years when they're in their teens, and they're doing some dumb shit, and all of a sudden those knives will turn and drop, and the papers will be after them. It's this, and they're rejecting this, and blah, 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 and why aren't they paying attention to this, and they don't respect the family and the royals and the kings and queens, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit, and I wouldn't want that. This is as much of a point of I don't want to be royalty. I will never be royalty because I'm not born into that lineage, culture, family groupings. Why would anybody want to be royalty? So many people want to be princesses and princes and lords and ladies. Why would you want that kind of attention? Why would you want anyone to kind of sit there and pick apart your life on a daily basis? It's like, oh yes, it's the respect, and I want to be treated well. I say you can have all of that without the name tag. If you've got the money, you can have all of that. It is not the pretty picture which Disney has described royalty to be. In fact, Disney hasn't described royalty to be a pretty picture. Every story Disney has told about royalty has been about being stabbed in the back and the people not liking you and making bad decisions. Every single one. We've all seen Frozen. We've all seen Cinderella. We know how these family squabbles work. It's very tragic and Shakespearean, and I just don't understand why people would want to step into that. But yeah, there's a whole idea attached to the idea of kings and queens. That's something I see quite a lot. You see guys who are like, yeah, I want to be king. I want to be treated like a king and respected. And they're thinking of it in an Arthurian sense. They're thinking of it in the sense of, battle and the bloodshed and the strength and the masculinity and all these kinds of things. The masculinity of it all. That's a reference to Bardic Broadcast. I suggest you check out Bardic Broadcast. Muscularity, that's what it is. And then you get women who want to be queens, and they want to be treat like a princess and gain the power and respect and all those things, and everyone's a queen and everyone's a king. I have no interest in anyone who wants to be a king or queen, and this is no disrespect to anyone who wants to be seen as a person of power and respect. But there's a very clear definition here between someone who is born into that position and thus wants to be treated like a king or queen, and someone who has made that position. When you think of the stories you have in life, and you think of the tales which are told, nobody cares about someone who's born into that position. Nobody does. You don't want to hear about, there was such and such was married, and then they had their child, the who-whats, and who-whats then moved up into the royal position because that was what they were to be done, and they were born into it, and oh no, they wanted to throw off those shackles of royalty and respect, but then eventually they realized it was their responsibility. When there's a film called The King's Speech. A King's Speech is all about someone who didn't want to be born into it, and that's why it's interesting. That's why that story is interesting. If it had been he's just accepted it and moved into it and everything was fine, congratulations, done, dusted. That's 10-minute film, biopic. That's all that is. What's interesting is when people seize those positions, when people are born outside of that ring, force their way into it and get involved and demand everything which those roles require. When kings and queens are killed, those are the stories which actually interest us. And also, I have way more respect for someone who does that. Congratulations, you were born. Joy, just like every other fucker in the world, you were born. Well, I don't care about that. I do care about the person who was born in a dirt pile and now runs a company. That's what I care about. Those are the stories, because that is actually a tale of success, perseverance, bravery, everything that it should be. Not just, I was born here and then I had a brother and that brother died so I became king. Congratulations. Life happened. You didn't actually do anything. And it's a struggle when you're king. Of course it's a struggle. It's a position of power, which is why someone who moves into that line should be someone who is actually responsible and actually capable, and not just, happen to be birthed at the right time, in the right place. I have such a problem with royalty and money, just because they're doing it wrong. That's what it is, really. They're doing it wrong. It's not that I want to be them. It's not that I'm jealous of them. It's just they're doing it wrong. And it's frustrating to see, because they could be doing it so much better. You could be achieving so much more, doing so much more, living so much more. And then the more you live, the more you want to, get involved with the rest of the world, support the people. That's just my view. Maybe you want to be royal. Maybe you want to be king or queen. I don't. Fuck that noise. I don't want to be royal. I don't want to be that kind of rich. I'd love to have money. It solves a lot of problems. But if I have money, I'm not doing it to buy nice things. I'm doing it to buy better things and build better experiences. That's my view. That's how I try to live. But that's food for thought, right? It's been lovely to talk to you all. Do you know what this podcast is? This ramble? This is the last episode of the year. It's 2020. I'm taking December off as usual, as I always do, as is tradition. I will be back in January to say hello once again. I hope you all take care. I hope you look after yourselves. Winter can be a dark time. And we all know that. But remember that I want to see you back here in January. I do. And if you need anything, you know where I'll be. I'll still be about. But it's been lovely to talk to you all. And I will see you in 2021. Talk to you guys later.